Why hello! This is a video tutorial on how to change front brake pads on a Honda Rebel. It's a 2004 CMX 250C. And the tools required for this project are a flathead screwdriver. I recommend Snap-on, but unfortunately I'm poor. You're also going to need brake pad spreader, a 5mm Allen wrench, and a 12mm socket. You're also going to need a chainsaw. Just kidding. I really meant to say brake pads. To make things easier, I'm going to include a list right here in this frame of all the things you're going to need for this project. And while you're at it, I'm going to enjoy my antioxidant trail mix. Seriously now, let me introduce you my brake assembly. Yeah, those are spider webs, indeed. I haven't been writing because there weren't brake pads, but really it's because I'm a lazy ass. But hey, I'm changing them now, and I'm making a lame tutorial, so y'all better thank me. Before I open a can of whoop ass. First things first, remove these two plugs. With my poor man screwdriver. That's one. Plug number two. Yeah. The next thing you're going to do is take out the pad pin bolts. In case you're wondering, these pad pin bolts are the bolts that hold the brake pads. These bolts are very easy to take out. One hand will do the job. That's one. And the second one. These bad boys should be fairly easy to pull out. That's what they look like. Yeah. Now the next step is to remove these two bolts. They are the caliper bracket bolts. That's one. And there goes bolt number two. Well, they got thread locks on there too. That's what they look like. Okay, the bracket bolts are out. Now we just have to slide the whole assembly out. And when we slide the whole assembly out, the brake pads will probably fall right out, because in the earlier steps we removed the pad pin bolts. But for the purpose of showing you guys how the pads are seated in the caliper, I'm going to put my hand back here and try to prevent the pads from slipping out. It should come off fairly easy. This is how the pads are seated in the caliper. The disc runs between these pads, and they should just come right off like that. The pads look pretty worn out. They're like 1mm thick, and that's why I'm changing them. The old brake pads are out of the way, and you should end up with something like this. Before you slap on a fresh pair of brake pads, you should do some inspection. Make sure the boots move up and down nice and smooth. Make sure the shim or the springs down here aren't bent or warped. And also make sure there's no dirt clogged in the gap of the cylinders. If all goes well, then you can proceed with installing your new brake pads. But notice, if I put on one brake pad, it won't have enough room for the other one to fit. See, that's not going to fit in there. What you have to do is you got to push in these pistons. And to do that, you use the brake pad spreader. Now, before you start pushing the pistons in, you should remove the cap of the brake fluid reservoir first. That way the pressure can be released. Great, I just found out this thing won't even fit in there. Well, here's option two. You can take the old pads, stick them in there, take the flathead screwdriver, and just keep wedging it until the pistons go in. Oh look, it's going in already. I guess I don't even need the brake pad spreader after all. Look at that. Yeah, this bad boy is ready for fresh brake pads. First, take the pad pin bolts, these guys, and insert it here. Back where they came from. And you should see it come out from the other side, right there. Now leave it right before it protrudes, and put the fresh brake pads in. You kind of have to push it down. There, it sticks. And then it should come out. There, come on. There we go. It's coming right through. There we go. Take the second one. Hook it right there. And have the pad pin bolts go through the holes as well. There you go. Now it's secure. Then tighten these bolts. The pad pin bolts just need to be hand tight. Slide it onto the rotor and then insert the bolt. You can put thread locks if you want. I would, but I'm a lazy ass. Bolt number 2. Alright. Now, torque it up. Double check and hand tighten the pad pin bolts again. Good. Excellent. And then finally, the plugs. This just requires hand tightening as well. Alright. Well, that concludes the front brake pad change on the Honda Rebel 2004. Thank you for watching. Oh, and don't forget to cover up your brake fluid reservoir cap. Subscribe.